Hi everyone, this is U.S. Immigration Attorney Sharifa Tharpe, and I am here live to take your questions. As usual, I come on every day to answer your immigration related questions, and so here I am to go ahead and answer your questions. So what you can do is put your questions in the comments, and then I will answer them as soon as I see them. You can also use the Q&A feature. That's that comment box with a question mark in there. And I would be able to see your questions and answer them. So let me introduce myself while the questions come in. I am U.S. Immigration Attorney Sharifa Tharpe, and I help clients to get their green card and status in the United States. And when I say status, meaning visa, or employment type visas, visitors visas, and so forth. So if you have an immigration issue, hi there, Wagwan, Alex. If you have an immigration issue, you're thinking about going through the process, you've been through the process, you have questions, especially if it's keeping you up at night, this could be your chance to get the answer to your question. So go ahead and put your questions in the comments. So can we start applying for TPS? So August, I am also looking out for the open enrollment. It's going to be, I believe the date was in July. So there is a certain period of time, and I believe it starts in July. But to confirm, go to USCIS.gov, and you could just put in Haitian TPS. And what it's going to do is give you the latest information on the TPS, because I do believe that they did announce the period of time that they'll be able to apply. So let's see, user 172. I've never applied for a U.S. visa. What is the best way to do so? So you'll have to apply for it through the U.S. Embassy. And, you know, to be successful, to increase your chances, you need to show that you have strong ties to your home country. August, you're welcome. Now, what that means is that you have a strong commitment to your country to the point that the officer is convinced you'll visit temporarily and then go right back home. So what kind of evidence can you show? Property, employment, school, children, family members, strong ties. So that's what strong ties mean. So you'll have to go to the U.S. Embassy's website in your country. Go there and you'll see how to go about applying. The application is usually online. What is the process for getting a visitor's visa? So that's Royal J17. So I went ahead and answered. So usually what you'll have to do is go ahead and submit that application. And then once you submit the application, they'll also provide you the information you need to make the visa payment. It's like a fee. It's about $160 for the non-immigrant visitor's visa fee. Once you complete that, then you're going to select the date that you want to attend the interview and the available date, because it's all based on availability. Once you select that, then they'll have you on their schedule. You'll just have to make sure you take that evidence showing that you have strong ties to your country to show that the visa will be temporary for you. So keep those questions coming. That's why I am here, to answer your immigration questions. So I see some more. Hang tight as I get to your questions. Hi there, Sandeep. My I-485 interview is done August 29, 2020, but I didn't get my green card. How long I have to wait? So it's all dependent. What I'm seeing, I do see a pattern where they have been, there are some delays after the interview, and it's usually where the officer is still reviewing your case. What you can do is make sure you call them and make sure that it's nothing on your end that is pending. They don't want anything from you before they have to make that decision. So how long does a U.S. resident, how long can they be outside of the country? So no more than 6 months, because once it's over 6 months, there can be a presumption that you've abandoned your permanent residence. Once it goes over 1 year, then you could lose your green card because they have assumed you've abandoned it. So very important. If you have to leave the country for more than 6 months, there's something called a re-entry permit that you should apply for before leaving the country. If you've already found yourself outside of the US for more than a year, then you'll need to apply for what's called an SB1 returning resident visa to be able to get back in. And you can always schedule a consultation if you're in that situation. Venom Queen or Vemon Queen. Applied online, take a lawyer, which is the fastest way to apply for the spouse. So you'll never catch me saying don't go with a lawyer, because no, you can always apply online for certain petitions. However, keep in mind that an attorney can guide you through the process safely, smoothly, because what I find is sometimes when you do it on your own, you end up in some problems. And then the process turns out delayed, takes longer, and you could even get a denial. So what I do, Vemon Queen, is I offer my prospective clients a consultation to start. And that my consultations are very detailed. And in that consultation, I advise them about the process, whether they qualify, the best way to go about it based on your particular circumstances. And then at that point, the client can make a decision whether they want to hire me or they can do this by themselves. But they have the advice they need. They are informed about the process going in. So that is the best way to do that. Stevens, August, I have a big concern. I am already on asylum process since 2017. Can I still apply for TPS? So yes, you can still apply for TPS even though you're going through the asylum process, and it will not prevent your asylum process from going through. So Erlinda, thanks for the follow. Nikki Dixie, I have applied by mail for waiver since pre-COVID and still no response. So unfortunately, you're not alone. There is a delay and COVID has made it worse. So the waivers, and if you're talking about the same waiver that I'm thinking about, which is the unlawful presence waiver, or another type of inadmissibility waiver like the I-601 waiver, those can take anywhere from 6 months to 2 years. So just make sure that on your end, you are not, there's nothing pending on your end, like they're not requesting any additional evidence from you. You're welcome, Vermont Queen. So do you specialize in U.S. or Canadian migration? I am U.S., a U.S. immigration attorney. So I do only U.S. So PG Crawford, thanks for the follow. Nikki Dixie, you're welcome. So keep your questions coming because that's why I'm here. I am here to answer your immigration questions. So why not take advantage of that and see if you have a simple answer to your question. I also offer consultations, and in those consultations you get real legal advice to start. Sometimes that's all it takes for a client to understand the process, and sometimes they need further assistance, and that's why I'm here. U.S. resident travel and stay out of the U.S. for more than a year because COVID, they let her back in. So no, it just depends. Now, this COVID is an extraordinary circumstance, and so of course, there are exceptions to the rule. So what are the risks of traveling? So what I would do is get legal advice. I don't know what your situation is. I don't know what risk you face in particular. So go ahead and schedule a consultation to make sure we really evaluate the details, because yes, there is a risk of getting to the border and getting into trouble at the border. You want to make sure that you get the right legal advice going in, you're prepared, and you do what the best course of action is. So let's see. I need help getting my visa. That's why I'm here. I'm a U.S. immigration attorney, and so I can help. just call, schedule a consultation, and we can talk about it. Do you help with attending school? I'm in the US as an international. So what is the cost of your consultation? It's $150 for up to an hour. And of course, you know the value of that. So Gabrielle, I do help with student visas. However, I don't assist with recruiting to go to the school. So you'd have to, of course, be accepted to the university. And then once you reach that point, then I can assist further and advise on what your next step should be in regards to a visitor's student visa. How long does it take for the USCIS to process an I-539? So it is taking long. They are backlogged, so just hang tight. And if you have any doubts about the situation you're in, go ahead and schedule a consultation and we can talk about it. Big Dre 06, how much is a whole package for a fiance visa for my fiance in Jamaica and I live in the US? So first you have to start with the in the petition, and so you have to pay for that petition, which is $535. And then once it gets approved, all being well, and it goes to the embassy, then you do have to pay additional fees, a non-immigrant visa fee. In addition to attorney fees, of course, and other incidental fees like travel costs and medical and so forth to get through. Do I need to get a job first to renew a J1 visa? So yeah, now because this is an type of, and the J1 is a special type of visa, right? So the employer has to be a special type of employer to be able to, for you to qualify for the J1. So yes. How to prove good moral character? So, you know, if you put in your statement or if you have others attest to your good moral character, Sandeep, then that could be one way. Another easy way is to provide the background check. And I know you have been dealing with the FBI. I know based on your past questions, the FBI background check, which is a good start. And you can also go to your localities, the state. So for every state you've lived in, you can get a background check through them too. So those are some of the ways. So keep your questions coming because I am here to help you answer those questions. And why not take advantage of that? I'm here every day, by the way. So if you want to follow me, and if you don't have your question today, but you'll have a question tomorrow or, you know, in sometime in the future, you can follow me when I go live. Then you can hop on and ask your questions. So keep your questions coming because tonight I like to close the night out with you. I like to end the day. Okay, so Anika, what are something they're looking for when going for an interview for a 2-year green card? So they are going to, if you're going for a 2-year green card based on your marriage, then make sure you and your spouse prep for that interview. Make sure that you know each other, you know your daily routines, you even know the color of your curtains in the different rooms, because they will get that detailed. So basically the most common questions that you'll come by is how did you meet? How did you get engaged? What's your in-laws' name? You know, your parents' name? What's your, what holidays, what did you do for your anniversary? What holidays do you celebrate together? What are your favorite holidays? Who cooks breakfast in the morning? Who sleeps on which side of the bed? So make sure that you know each other, know dates, when did you meet? If you both have a date in mind, make sure you have a consistent date in mind, so forth. Druoto, what are the different types of visas that I can get in order to get a job? So many. So there are non-immigrant temporary visas, and then there are green card type visas. So it really depends, Druoto, on what you qualify for. So if you have a particular visa in mind, get legal advice about how to go about qualifying for that. Now, another important thing is the employer. So it depends on the employer. So the first thing you should do is find an U.S. employer who's willing to sponsor you for a visa. And then what we look at is what are the needs of the employer, what types of visas fit the needs of the employer and your qualifications. So hello, the last time I asked this, my internet gave trouble, so I don't know if you saw it. That's that, Panda. I think I remember that. I see your comment now, and what you can do, that's that, Panda, is see if you can use the Q&A feature. And so Sandeep 3825. Now, I cannot tell you in particular what to send because I have not seen your request for evidence. However, keep in mind that generally speaking, the local police clearance as well as the state clearance letters are also acceptable. But I don't know if they're asking you specifically for the FBI. But those are also acceptable as well. So contact your local police department in the areas that you've lived, or contact the state for the background check. And what in those cases you might have to do fingerprinting for the state, but check because every state is different, and so they may have different procedures. Can your employer petition for residency in the US? Absolutely, yes. So that's that, Panda. The question was answered just a while ago. Okay, great. I'm glad. So my daughter is in India and she's 14. Can she travel alone? She has a visitor's visa. So check the policy of the airline because that is where it's going to matter. Is the airline going to allow your 14-year-old to travel? What is the policy to do that? And how can they protect your child along the way as she's on her way to her final destination? Adlam 22, thanks for the follow. So if someone overstays, what they can do to get, so PK Mont, so what are your pronouns? Is she and her. If someone overstays, what they can do to get permanent visa. So you'd have to qualify, and at that point you also have to focus on how to fix your status, Sherry. So do you have a U.S. citizen or a legal permanent resident spouse or parent? Because if you do and you overstayed, you may be able to stay in the United States and apply for your green card, or you may be able to apply for forgiveness that would give you permission to leave the country, to go and finish it at the embassy and then come right back. But which one you decide on or which one you qualify for really depends on who your relative is. If they're a U.S. citizen spouse and you overstay the visa, then that staying in the U.S. could possibly be an option, or is likely an option. So get legal advice if any of this feels familiar and you want to explore those options. Adlam 22, my daughter is coming up on a visitor's visa. When can my husband put in her I-130? I have so my daughter is coming up on a visitor's visa. When can my husband put in her I-130? So timing really depends on what's going on in your particular case. And so I couldn't advise you in particular because an I-130 can be filed at any time. But if you have something going on where you think that the I-130 is going to affect the visitor's visa or something of that sort, then you want to definitely get legal advice. So schedule a consultation, Adlam, and we can talk more about that. Sherry, so they overstayed 20 years. So even if they overstayed by 20 years, actually if they overstayed by 20 years, then they could, because they've been here so long, they've built a life here, then they have a U.S. citizen or a legal permanent resident spouse or parent, then there could be a way to say this is going to cause extreme hardships on the U.S. citizen or legal permanent resident spouse or parent. So in that case, Sherry, definitely If it's not you, schedule a consultation and let's talk about the options, because there may be options here. So, ma'am, can you roughly say how much it costs to apply for a 10-year green card without the spouse? So, in this case, it depends on the spouse, but when you factor in the adjustment of status, staying in the U.S. and applying, and as well as what's called the I-360 form, it's basically the VAWA form, then you're looking at about $1,225 at minimum. In addition to attorney fees, if you're going to go through an attorney, which I highly suggest you do. So Ellie Chung, it's nice to see you. My boyfriend filed for visa in Haiti, but was told he needs to wait 12 months for interview. What can he do? So unfortunately, because of the backlog, there's not much that can be done unless there is a humanitarian situation going on or he has an emergency, then maybe. But outside of those circumstances, there's really nothing else that would be done. Nika Dorian, my husband is Jamaican, living, and I'm American. Would it be better to get the resident green card or... So I'm not sure. So if you're American, Nicadorian, and your husband, he could actually live in the United States with you, you would be able to apply for permanent residence. And you're already married, so it's just to file the papers. So right now, you could be looking at an 18-month process for him to come and live in the United States. So if that is easier for you and him, and he agrees to that, schedule a consultation with me and we can go through the details, make sure he qualifies get into his background, make sure he qualifies for it, and then actually get started on the paperwork. So give me a call, schedule a consultation. Ellie Chung, you're welcome. So keep those questions coming. Take advantage of me being here to answer your immigration related questions. So ride car, my parents skips when they visit 2015, visit then. Daughter went back, now if she wants to come back. So I'm not sure. That looks like, so parents skips when they visit visitors visa, then daughter went back. So if the daughter went back and she overstayed by more than 6 months, 180 days, then she could face a 3-year bar and would have to apply for a waiver. That's definitely a lot more complex, and you want to get legal advice on the options for her to come back. So schedule a consultation. Call me at 561-405-4889 and schedule a consultation, and let's talk about her options to come back. King Jario, I'm a graduate and I have my visitor's visa, but I'd like to work in the US. So you would need to schedule, in this case, you would need to have an employer who would be willing to apply for you to come and live and work in the United States. So that would be your first step. So he has a clean record and all. So that is good news, Nicadorian. And so that would definitely make the process easier. So schedule a consultation and we can get right on it, because it could very well be possible that you could have him here in 2 years or less. So schedule that consultation and we can get started. What will be circumstances? She did not overstay. So if she did not overstay, then she would have to still qualify through an employer or through a family member to be able to come back to the United States. If she still has a visitor's visa, she should be okay, because she's not the one that overstayed. It was the parents. So if she wants to visit again and she still has a valid visa, or she wants to reapply for a visa, she can go through that as long as she doesn't have any, she's not worried about any immigration violations that she herself committed. However, if she wants a green card, she'll have to apply through a family member or through an employer or through another means. So Lee is a foodie. Thanks for sharing the live. Shane Grant 91. I am not seeing your question, but let me check the question. So Shane Grant, how long until I get work permit after a job offer? So you'll have to apply first, and when you get a job offer, you still have to, when you get a job offer, you must apply for an employment-based visa. So it wouldn't be necessarily be a work permit unless you're able to qualify through some other type of application. So Nicadorian, go to the link in my bio and you will see, it will take you to my website. Now you can call to schedule a consultation right now. As a matter of fact, there's someone who is working. So there's always someone who is working right up until 9:30 tonight. But on a regular day, it would be up to 11 p.m. So if you want to call right now, schedule a consultation, what will happen is you'll either get the scheduling coordinator who will answer and schedule, or you will get the after hours receptionist who will take your name, your information, and pass it right on to the scheduling coordinator who will return your call. So go ahead and go to the link in my bio. You'll see my contact information there, phone number or the contact form, and you can schedule. I'm looking forward to speaking with you and helping you because that's really exciting. Adlam 22, can I apply for file for an I-130 while she's here on a visa? So you could possibly, so usually she has to meet specific criteria. You would have to be a US citizen, and she would have to enter with her visa, and the visa has to, so for example on a visitor's visa, and she has to also make sure her background allows for her to adjust status in the United States. So it's a possibility, but has to meet certain criteria. So I'm Jamaican. If you travel to work in the Caribbean, will it cause an issue to get your USA visa? So it shouldn't, as long as it shouldn't, you know, if you're working in other Caribbean countries. Katrina Wait 20, is there a time span on getting citizenship through marriage? So if you married a US citizen and you kept your green card for 3 years, you were married to that same US citizen for those 3 years, the entire 3 years, then you could apply for citizenship after 3 years. So Patrina Wait 20, is there a time span for adjustment of status? I think that's adjustment of status. So that is going to be, it depends on what type of adjustment of status. Is it employment based or is it based on your spouse? So if it's based on a US citizen spouse or even a green card holder spouse, if you're maintaining status in the United States, then you're looking at about, it could be as little as 10 months to 2 years. The average I've seen is 18 months. So Nicadorian, the website is, the link is in my bio. So that's the easiest way to get there. So great questions. So keep those questions coming while I'm here. I am here every day to take your questions with few exceptions. So if you don't have a question today, but you know you'll have one, go ahead and schedule a consultation. Go ahead and follow me. And then as soon as you see me go live, come on and ask the question. Also, go ahead and schedule a consultation if you don't want to ask if you don't want your business out there, you really would rather, sometimes it's too detailed for me to answer through the live and we have to do a consultation. So go ahead and call. So for example, Nicadorian said she's gonna call right now. I'm really looking forward to helping you. That would be great, and that's exciting. So I am looking forward to speaking with you, Nicadorian. So Ridecar, where am I based? So I am in Boca Raton, Florida, but I represent clients all over the country. As immigration attorneys, you have to file your petitions across state lines. And so our job as immigration attorneys is to work with those offices and embassies all over the country. And so we are not limited. So I am not limited by state lines or borders. I help clients all over the world. So wherever you are, I can still assist you. So I do phone and video consultations for those of you who are not around the corner from me, or you just want the convenience of it. I'll always have phone and video consultations available. So if I married my boyfriend in Haiti, what would be the process moving towards him getting to the US? So Ellie Chung, if you married your boyfriend, you would first have to make sure that you're a US citizen or a green card holder. And then you would apply, since he's in Haiti, you would apply through consular processing, meaning you would first submit your application here. Once it's approved, they just look to see if you are indeed married to the spouse, look at your evidence, make sure that the marriage is real. They pass it on to the National Visa Center, that passes it on to the embassy after they collect your documents, and then the embassy will schedule the interview for your spouse to attend. And some embassies do allow the spouse, like you, to attend along with your spouse. Sometimes that's very helpful. So that would be the process in a nutshell. Once they get approved at the embassy, they get the immigrant visa to come to the US. And once they land in the US, get through the airport, they're a permanent resident. Patrina, you're welcome. So Adlam 22, she's 9 years, but I'm married to a US citizen and my husband wants to file for her. I have a pending I-485. So as a stepchild of a US citizen, Adlam, she can qualify for permanent residence through your spouse. So even though you have a pending application, you don't have to wait to get permanent residence. Your US citizen spouse can apply for your daughter to get for her papers to pen separately, because it has to be separate. So should I file for the fiancé visa even though he doesn't have his interview yet? So I'm not sure what interview you'd be talking about. But with the fiancé visa, it is definitely an option if you want him to come here and then apply. If you want him to come here and apply for the green card after you get married, then yes, the fiancé visa would be the option here. Now keep in mind, you have to meet certain specific criteria. Those would be that you'd have to show that you met your fiancé in the last 2 years. Sometime in the last 2 years, you met at least once. And then you have to be a US citizen, can't be a green card holder. You have to be a US citizen to file for your fiancé. Fab Chrissy, thanks for the follow. So how can I migrate to the US to work as a registered nurse? So you're going to have to get an employer or a recruiter who can hook you up with an employer to be able to get to the next steps of applying for a visa. So it doesn't come first. The employer comes first, then the visa. The interview for visa in Haiti. Okay, so the the fiancé visa, right now it's taking over a year. So your fiancé can definitely still try to apply for the visitor's visa. However, keep in mind that when they apply for the fiancé visa, it's going to show that your significant other has an interest to come and live in the United States, and that can definitely affect the visitor's visa. So, if you want to, you have to choose one or the other at this point. If you're going to file for the fiancé visa, it's taking over a year. And I think you are the one that said that it's taking a year to even get the visitor's visa interview. The fiancé visa is the same thing. So both it's going to take long right now. But if you're really serious about getting your significant other here to get married, then the fiancé visa would be a good option. Shantoy Balen, thanks for the follow. Nancy, let me see if you are in the... So we have some more. Harp 9402, the application, let's see. How long will I get have to wait for a green card. The application was done by my sister. Is 3 years. So the total process right now is taking about 12 years. So Maria, how long? So I answered that. So use the Q&A option, Nancy, use that option, because I think many of the questions, when I get complaints about it, I'm not seeing I'm not answering the question. Use that and I'll see. Oh, thank you so much, Pretty Woman 1901, for that. I appreciate that. So Sharon Morris 49, what will the cost be for my son to get you to assist him in getting my other son to the US? So Sharon, that's why I offer the consultation first, is to be able to advise and evaluate the situation. And once I understand fully what is necessary to be able to represent your son, then I provide the quote. So to start, it's $150 to do that initial consultation, where your son is still going to get legal advice, which is very valuable. So your son is still going to get legal advice, still is going to understand what the options are, understand the process, and then walk out with me as their attorney, should we both agree that this would be the right thing to do. So Shane Grant, is there a consultation fee? So it's $150. Favor Chris Zaram, how can I migrate to the US to work as a registered nurse? I believe I answered that. So Harp, the application was done by my sister, so I answered that. Pretty Vicky, if I'm undocumented and I'm filing tax, can I use the IRS person? Can I use the IRS person for tax purposes? So I don't know if you're talking about residence. So can you use residency for tax purposes? As long as you're not claiming U.S. citizenship, then, and you are a resident for tax purposes, that should be fine. Because under the definition of the IRS, you are a tax resident. But just make sure that you don't ever select a process that you're a U.S. citizen, because claiming U.S. citizenship when you're not, even if it's erroneous, it needs to be intentional, but sometimes it's difficult to prove that it was unintentional. And there's a permanent bar from getting permanent residence in the United States. So you definitely wouldn't want that. I think Mayen Fernandez. Hi there. Thank you for saying hello. And if you have any questions, feel free. So how long does the process take when a permanent resident applies for their adult, I think that was daughter. So it's taking, and keep in mind they have to be unmarried, the adult child. It's taking about 5 to 6 years right now. That can always change though, but it's taking about that long. Belly Goodas, my husband came up already and get through on the fiance visa. He has 2 kids. One is turning 21 next week. So you want to file, so if they're turning 21 and you're obviously you're a US citizen because you applied for that fiance visa. So what you need, it's urgent at this point, because if they're turning 21, now, first of all, you have to make sure that you got married to your spouse before. So obviously not. So I don't know. There's a lot going on here. So if he came up on the fiance visa, did he come up as your spouse on the K3 visa, or did he come up on a fiance visa? I'm thinking here he came up on the fiance visa, so you weren't married. So in this case, your 21-year-old wouldn't qualify as a stepchild. If you got married and that 21-year-old was under 18 at the time that you got married, then you could quickly apply before they aged out, and they would qualify as an immediate relative. So they would still get priority in the green card process. But if you didn't marry before that 21-year-old was 18, then they wouldn't qualify as a stepchild. There's nothing you could do as a citizen. your husband would have to apply for that 21-year-old when he becomes a green card holder. And unfortunately, that is taking time. That does take a few years. So if the other kids are under 18 and unmarried, and you got married to your spouse, of course, when they were under 18, then you could apply for them as a U.S. citizen, and they would still take priority in the green card process. Now, I know I just told you a ton of information. I definitely don't want you to get it wrong, especially if you're 21-year-old that may be aging out. So what you need to do is schedule a consultation, and then let's talk about some strategy here. So Vicky, hi, how long after receiving my green card I could sponsor my spouse, fiance to the U.S.? Now, as a green card holder, you wouldn't be able to sponsor your fiance, but you could definitely sponsor your spouse as soon as you get your green card. So let's see. I want to go to the U.S., but I need help, information. So Novid, Norab, that is a lot, right? It would take me hours to talk about how you can come to the United States. But what you can do is a good way to learn. Now, you could always contact me if you have something if you have some way in mind. If you have an employer, or if you have a family member, and you want to know if you can qualify through that family member, you can follow up my question here, let me know, or you can call and schedule a consultation. You can also go to USCIS.gov and read up there. You know, they have very valuable information there that can give you some introductory information. So one of the two is always good. I'm always here to assist you and to advise you. Sharon Morris, thanks for sharing. Shayna, my mom was told she had to go back to the U.S. to live for a year before she can file for me. So Shayna, I don't know what happened there. It's probably based on the circumstances. You'd need to schedule a consultation to talk about it further, because if she was told she needs to come back and before she can apply for you, then there's something going on that you need to get to the bottom of. They canceled my interview for the N400 because the file isn't received by a field office from the NBC Center. How long? So unfortunately, there's no way to tell how long. What you can do is go to the USCIS and you go to case processing times, look up that service center and see what's their range of time to apply. So thank you everyone so much for coming and asking your questions. I'm here every night. So this will not be the last time you're seeing me if you follow me. And as soon as you see me, go ahead and put your questions in. I will answer it then. In the meantime, I have to check out. But if you don't want to learn more about me, if you want to schedule a consultation, go ahead and go to the link in my bio. It's going to take you to the website. You can learn more about me, learn more about the focus areas, which is mainly to help individuals to get their green card in the United States and status. You will see my contact information, phone number, and a contact form. Sometimes the phone lines get busy and the scheduling coordinator is on a call. If that's the case, go ahead, put your information in the contact form and the scheduling coordinator will get back to you then as well. So thank you so much, everyone. I'll see you tomorrow. Have a good night.